Hi, and welcome to another GC9x video. I'm KaL, and I'm joined today by Bobinator.
Hello.
And Snarboo.
Yes, hello.
And this is Ironcast. Yes, hurry.
Okay.
Yes, it's Ironcast.
So this is a recent match-3 puzzle game with a lot of cool ideas that mixes a lot of genres together. First off, you'll notice we have multiple selectable characters, each of which has their own special ability, as you can see at the bottom left. I think about it for a moment, and I decide I like the way Adoyo's power works. I'll explain that in the future. And then we pick our steampunk mech, which we actually control and fight with. And each of those has their own stats and unique abilities.
It should be noted there are DLC pilots and mechs, some of which have some pretty unique, interesting powers. There's also a backer mech. I do own, I can't remember if I own both of the DLC mechs or just one of them, but if I recall correctly, the guy's ability is something like he can generate shields by making matches where he always starts off with a charged shield. It was something kind of game-breaking a little bit, and the mech he came with also had superior shielding or something.
Now, here's the deal. We are fighting France. We are British, and France is trying to kill us. We have 9 days to prepare for France's assault from their giant-ass mech. And we do this by gathering material and manpower so we can fight them when the French mech reaches London. So there's a variety of missions we can accomplish in these 9 days. Each mission is 1 day.
And you get, like, plot or something in between it?
Right.
Yeah, there's actually a story.
Is the story the same each time? I mean, the mech invasion is always the same, but does anything else sort of change?
I'm pretty sure it's always the same. Okay, so basic gameplay. This is a match-3 puzzle game. On our turn, we can make 3 matches. And we can make matches in, like, any direction as long as they're connected, the same color. What I'm doing first is I'm gathering up energy, which we can use for different subsystems, like shields, drives, which help us to dodge, shields reduce damage, and I just picked up ammo, which means you actually fire weapons, but we can't shoot on the first turn, so...
Right. Typically your enemies don't fire on the first turn, and I say that as soon as it does, but it depends on the mech they pilot typically.
Now the enemy mech activates its drives, which means it has a chance for all of our attacks to miss. So we need to first focus on taking out its drives. We can target
now, I
each
suspect
of the...
that the AI would have chosen to attack you because you aren't walking yet.
I'm not sure.
Well, I think it'll just attack you either way. It attacks you if it wants to attack you.
Okay, I didn't go...
Now you could...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, I guess I could say real quick. You can tell what your defense rating is and what the defense rating of your other mechs are in the top left and right corners, respectively. It'll give you a percentage, or it'll tell you what your armor rating is at.
And that's what an easy fight looks like. That didn't take long to do.
Nope.
And you wanted
Like,
to
each
talk
of the
about
missions has a different rating. Oh.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that you can target different pieces of the mech, I believe, is what Bob really wanted to say.
Right. And each of those subsystems does something different. Like, you can take their weapons, you can take out their shields or their drive systems. And after every fight, we get experience, manpower, and scrap, which is basically money. And we get new system upgrades too, like you see there.
So the game is basically, building up your mech to do a fight at the end, which is all based on the match 3 style system they have going here.
Right. It's not technically match 3. You can match as many as you want as long as you can make a line. And here,
Yeah,
back at the workshop... Go ahead.
No, you talk about the workshop while the workshop's here. We don't want to lose it.
After every mission, we go back to the workshop, which is where you can spend your scrap to repair your mech if you take damage, or get upgrades after you level up, or buy new upgrades for your mech. Most of your scrap's probably going to be repairing yourself, so you really got to kind of decide how much health you want to get back, or how much you actually want to upgrade. This is very much in the FTL fashion of things, so it's about kind of going through it again and again and getting a little better each time.
I will say this about the game. Typically, in some instances, you want to drag out fights because the longer a fight goes on, the more gold spawns, or I should say scrap. In other cases, you typically want to take the mission that gives you the highest scrap rewards, because anything that is left over can be used to upgrade your mech. Essentially, you can buy new weapon systems, that sort of thing. So there is actually a game-winning strategy that you sort of pick up on as you play through the game.
So here's where I explain the time limit here. In 9 days, this guy's going to be there, and he's probably going to murder us.
And you're choosing like a fight at this point.
Right, we can pick either a steam tank or another Ironcast. The thing with steam tanks is that they don't have shields, but they do have armor, which reduces all the damage they take by percentage instead of a set number.
And you have some sort of overcharge system here?
Okay, overcharge, it basically, you can have up to 3 of them at once, and you can activate one of your subsystems while you have one to make it even better.
It can be used to enhance weapons as well. It's whatever you activate that turn, or, in whatever order, essentially.
Right.
Because they're used as soon as you activate them.
I should also probably explain the meters. We've got our main health hull meter. That runs out, we die. It's game over. We've got hull meters for each of our subsystems. If that runs out, it breaks. We have to repair it. And we have meters for our ammo, which we shoot with. Our energy, which powers our subsystems. Our coolant, which we use whenever we use a subsystem. And if we use one when we don't have coolant, we take damage. And a repair, which we need to use to fix our stuff that breaks.
So really, there's a lot of stuff going on, but it makes a lot of sense from playing it pretty quickly. I get the feeling.
I'd say so, yeah.
Because obviously, like, looking at this, there's a lot of stuff to take in, but it seems like once you get a feel for it pretty quick.
Now, because this is a match 3 game, there is some luck involved based on which drops you get. And sometimes you want to actually wait before you clear out a certain match. There's quite a bit of strategy involved, surprisingly.
Well, see, what I like about this, and because like we call it a match 3, but I've been thinking before we sat down to talk about this one. This specific format feels kind of more like, I don't know, like a linear match game or something, that it's very rarely in your best interest to match less than the maximum amount that you can match in general, because you get better stuff for matching more. And 3 is kind of like a bare minimum that you generally will avoid unless you have no choice.
Right, you only make 3 matches per one of your turns, so you kind of want to make them count.
Because, yeah, like, there's a game that I very much enjoy. It's on iOS, it might also be on Android, I haven't checked recently, called Dungeon Raid, which has a very similar system, but it's more of a single-player roguelike, where you have armor and health and some special abilities and things, and it's all built off the same linear match system against enemies and stuff. Very cool stuff. But this game blends it more with FTL.
It's kind of like a cross between Puzzle Quest, FTL, and maybe a bit of Mech Warrior, because there are so much importance in different systems and how they can screw you up if they go down.
Now, one of the catches here is that, unlike Puzzle Quest, your enemy tank isn't stealing your own battlefield. They just kind of do stuff. Presumably, they have their own fake battlefield that you can't see, because they just do things kind of like at random, seemingly.
Which makes it a bit more fair, I'd say. And here I actually have the money to afford new weapons, so I kind of go over my options a bit.
With the options, is this different per mech, or is this kind of shared between different characters, or how does that work?
I'm pretty sure all mechs can use all the same upgrades from there.
What you earn is random. It seems to vary depending on what you fight. Like, there's a random chance you'll get a blueprint for a new weapon from, say, that steam tank you just fought. Like, that gave you the heavy. That gave him the heavy cannon for purchase.
We also get
almost certain that's. Yeah. Oh.
We also get upgrades from leveling up, as you can see here. Some of which are pretty
And
useful.
again, it's it feels this is one of those kind of it's one of those choices where you gotta you can't go back and make a different choice. You kind of have to pick one of the three, and that's it. That's the only one of those three you'll see this round, is it?
Right, but usually you can level up like after every mission, so.
But I mean, is it Deus Ex style where you kind of pick one of two and that's it? Like, it's not going to give you that choice again, so you kind of have to make it count.
Right. Okay, this mission is a little different. We can kill as many mechs as we want, but the mission won't end until we can collect 8 crates. Like, if you destroy a mech, you get one more match, but it won't stop another one from coming. You see that crate at the top left? We need 8 of those.
So, let me check here, but I believe that was about 11 minutes 30 time to crate.
Thank you for keeping up with that.
I don't know, I think
But because it's a roguelike, there's a random chance you can encounter a crate much, much sooner. Or later.
Yeah, better make a note of that. I don't know, was there a crate in the background previously? I wasn't paying attention. Feel free to go back and let us know in the comments if there was a crate earlier that I missed. I like the mech designs in this. I'm not a huge fan of steampunk because I feel it kind of ends up really overdone, like, all the time. But I feel like they've done a really good job of capturing what steampunk should look like. It doesn't look like, hey, let's put gears and pipes on everything and make it bronze, but more, they've gone for this very interesting, actually Victorian look with some extrapolated, like, future tech in it.
It's very Jules Verne.
Which is nice. Also that they kind of don't feel like they're substituting sci-fi for steampunk tech. Like, these things seem fairly grounded to an extent. Like, they do seem kind of chunky and blocky and not super efficient.
They're very clunky, yes. Which I appreciate.
I mean, I know that tank there appears to have stained glass windows, but, you know, I hope that doesn't underscore my point in any way.
There might be embellishments, like I think only the top canopy is probably a stained glass window. It's really hard to tell. I mean,
I like the way the backgrounds work in this. I mean, it's not super immediately obvious, but they're really nicely sort of just, you know, placed there. It really works really nicely to have this, like, scrolling constant background. You know, because a lot of puzzle fighting style games just, they don't capture the sort of feeling of a fight as well as this game kind of does.
Right, feels like more that you're playing a board game.
Yeah. And they've done an excellent job, I think, on this one with capturing kind of what makes FTL work without being FTL. Not that there's many FTL clones out there, realistically speaking, but...
There's been more and more since it came out.
I haven't... Are any of them notable? Because I haven't really come across any of them in, like,
I forget, was Stellaris, that recent game, was that a 4-time or 4X game, or was that,
That's
It's a
a
4X.
4X game.
Very
It's...
much a
Okay.
4X. That's,
Okay.
Don't anger them.
Okay. I was trying to think because I know there was a game kind of like that released very recently that was similar to FTL, but I can't remember. I mean, I haven't kept up with my space games and all that stuff for a while, so...
Yeah, so I haven't had any sort of get thrown at me like, hey man, check this game out. Not that people tell me to check their games out. If you tell me to check their game out, we might check your game out. That's something that happens, you know. We could do
It
that.
happens very rarely, yeah.
Yeah. we checked this game out, but I don't think we were told to check this out. Bob or Snarboo, one of you two, I think, were like, this game's great, so let's check it out.
I think it was Bob that
yeah,
suggested this one.
I was super into this game, so... So that heavy cannon I picked up, it does a bit more damage because it does damage to all the enemy subsystems, just focusing on just one. But sometimes you don't want that for reasons we'll see later, possibly. You don't always want splash damage.
Well, more to the point, there are specific mission types where you have to disable a given Ironcast without destroying a certain part of it, because you want to steal the tech from it.
Okay, this is a really good match. I get a ton of energy to do what I need, and 2 overdrives, so the stuff I activate will be even better. That's a really good thing to see starting off.
Wow.
Now, the different mechs, they differ in terms of stats, right? Like,
right,
some of them can hold more energy and ammo and stuff.
Right, they have different maximum
maximum
things they can hold. They have different equipment starting off.
Bob, I really need you to get better at matching these tiles, because this is bothering me how long this takes you.
I'm just trying to figure out the most efficient way to do it.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I don't think you were the most efficient way at that point. Unless you were trying to not fill it entirely, because then that's fine.
Right, I didn't want to have match more than I can hold at one time, because you can do that and kind of waste energy.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's obviously a nice strategy with these ones, because as I said previously, generally, with these style of ones, you just want to match as many as possible and move on.
So now I'm activating my drive, which means I've got a 24% chance that any projectile that guy shoots at me will miss. I personally prefer to use shields more first, because that's more guaranteed floating damage.
Well, shields protect you against physical damage. They don't always protect you against energy damage. There's 2 different kinds of weapons.
Wait, they protect you from energy, but not... What? Hold on. That's not...
I'm pretty sure it protects you from all damage. Well, there are some abilities that bypass shields, but that's kind of rare.
I thought certain weapon types did bypass shields. I'll have to look into that again, so...
It's probable. I haven't played this game. I'm just gonna put that right out there. It's, these two have played the game. I have watched them play the game. That is my extent.
I could be wrong, but I don't think that there's like a damage type.
Now,
I know they
is this
behave
the
differently.
latest version of this game? Are we looking at... Because I know that this game got a patch or 2, I think. Are we watching the latest one here?
It should be, because I'm playing off my Steam account. At least it was the latest when I record the video. This is pre-recorded.
We pre-record videos at the moment so that they are slightly better quality than normal.
I can look competent sometimes. Except when I lose.
He deletes all the bad footage. You have no idea. I'm not even convinced you send me all the footage.
I just paid someone to play this game for me. Sucker.
Is that a thing in the Let's Play community? I have to wonder now.
I have little doubt that some of the bigger, not necessarily Let's Players, because that's kind of their whole, like, deal, like streamers, but I have no doubt that some of the bigger, you know, getting video content for, like, you know, getting gameplay content for their video, they're either getting someone else to do it, or they're nicking it from someone with their permission, hopefully, because, you know, I don't know how anyone would have, like, 20 hours a day to record video footage, and edit the footage, and talk on the footage, you know. That's a lot of video footage. That was unrelated. We're doing pretty well here, I think. Are we doing well?
Mostly.
I believe so.
I'm kind of losing a lot of health, so I'm going to have to spend a lot of scrap to fix that. You don't
Thankfully,
always...
there's a ton of scrap on the board.
You don't always want to repair all your damage. You might want to use the money for other things.
Right, there's a risk-reward system there.
This guy's almost done, though.
Yeah, so that's, this thing. It gets harder, right? Like, it's like FTL
yes.
where it kind of scales harder the longer you play.
I have never finished a single playthrough of this.
Don't spoil it to me if you've not finished it this time. I want it to be a surprise when you lose. You know, at some point we're gonna have to get you to finish a game, because it's gonna look bad if every game that we play you don't finish. You know?
Hey, I beat Sonic CD.
Right, that's right. You did beat Sonic CD.
I feel really proud of that too. Thank you.
Well, good for you. You know, I'm glad that you pointed that out. There was some other. We've got some recording in the pipeline. I think that you spent ages trying to get through it, but I don't think.
Oh yeah, I am.
Yet.
I didn't even edit that one, so people are gonna get to look forward to that.
What one will it be? You'll find out in the future.
Finally, that guy's dead.
Some nice, you know, explosion sort of stuff going on there. You know, it's pretty good. Looks good. Feels good.
Oh, this is interesting. This guy actually wants us to let him go, and I decided I kind of got my ass kicked already, so I kind of don't want to bother fighting him. So sometimes you get choices like that, and that time I decided just not bother with a second fight, because that would have gone kind of poorly for me.
Now, is this like FTL, where it's always the same end response, or does it randomize a little bit on your choices?
I believe it actually is random at times. Like, you can get different outcomes, but it's basically just pure luck.
Now, something Bob hasn't shown yet, or really this is a random element that sometimes appears in the game, I should say, is that sometimes there's just missions that are just pure diplomacy, like you need scrap or manpower, and then you sort of negotiate for it.
Right.
And if you don't have anything, well then, good luck.
I do show off one of those later. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, there's a lot of little elements that are added to the mix that make this a pretty interesting little game.
But yes, that always bothered me about FTL, was that you'd be offered a choice, and the choices were sometimes just like, they were always wrong. You know, like, one of your choices was like, you get a high five and everything turns out well. And the other choices, they eat half your crew and everything's terrible, and it's like, that's the answer every single time. So it's like, you choose the wrong choice once, and then you never pick it again, because it's always wrong. Which, for a roguelike style game, always felt a little silly to me.
Okay, here's a new type of mission. This is salvage. This steam tank has a type of armor that we want, but we don't want to damage it. If we damage it, we fail the mission. It's not game over, but we have to go back to the workshop. We don't get anything. We've wasted our time, basically. And one of my weapons damages all the subsystems, including the armor, so I basically cannot use that on this mission.
Now, you didn't get any forewarning for this, did you? If you were accidentally trucking, like, the super awesome kill everything mech, you would be in a lot of trouble, would you?
If you didn't have something that did not do splash damage, yes, you'd be screwed.
The game does warn you in advance, however. It'll say it's a salvage mission.
Right, and since you usually have multiple mission choices, you could just pick the other one, I assume?
Right.
I'm assuming it won't generate you 2 missions at once that are the same.
Thankfully, though, I can just focus on every area but the armor and take him down that way, and I'm alright.
Also, you have a turn
Sometimes
limit,
they tell you what to target first.
We've ever hit upon yet. But looks like you've got a limit on the amount of turns. I don't think we've hit that at this point.
Right. If you have turns, you also fail the mission, which means you go back to the workshop, but you don't get any kind of reward. So again, you've wasted time.
And I assume you don't get any scrap in general, so you lose
I think
health.
you get any scrap you've mashed from the board, but you don't get any bonus for winning.
Now I noticed that you're pretty conservative with your active abilities. I've found those are the key to winning in a lot of cases, is when you activate those and which ones you activate at what time. And Bob actually has a pretty good spread here. He has an ability that leeches ammo. He has one that, yeah, right here he's showing it off, so you can read that real quickly and see what it does.
Right, it gives
I
you
hope you
tools
read
to
it, because
serve.
it's gone now.
Well, you can pause the video. Come on now.
I'm not gonna pause the video. They fell asleep. Wake up!
Maybe you should put like a scary face in there to see if they pay attention or not.
I don't like to put too many Bubsy faces in a video. I could get the terrifying baby unicycle from Indonesia. That always goes down a treat.
That game was something else. I will say that right now.
It certainly was.
You should go watch that video after this one, because people need to watch part 2. Everyone's like, let's watch part 1 and then not watch part 2. Seriously, part 2 has like half as many views and it's twice as interesting. What is wrong with you?
I think people watch the first half to see if they want to watch the second half, and they probably only get like 5 minutes into the first half. It's like, this isn't for me.
Right. And since we took out that guy and took his armor, we can get it for free without having to build it first with scrap. It'll replace our shield, but it's a guaranteed damage reduction.
Do you need any more abilities here? Don't you already have 4? Or do you just switch them in
You
and
can
out?
have more than 3 available, but you can only hold 3 per mission. So you have more than 3, you have to swap them out like this.
Essentially, you have one ability that is always tied to that mech, and then you have 3 that are just pretty much whatever you want. They're wild cards.
Oh, and here's a diplomacy mission, like Snarboo mentioned.
Yep,
This is not a fight, usually. There's a chance it can be, I think, but... These are a nice, easy thing to do for some easy money if things go well. So it doesn't really tell you which choice you want. You just kind of have to hope for the best and guess. So I made the right choices, apparently, so I get the stuff. And I even get a new...
Sometimes lying is the better option, by the way. I've had that happen before.
I imagine it's a 50-50 thing.
I do wonder what the numbers are in the back, because it does that frustrating thing where it's not going to tell you, is it? So you can be kind of stabbing in the dark a bit there. Because you don't really have any knowledge of what that character's going to respond to, right? Like, you're really just kind of hoping for the best.
Right. That was, like, pure guesswork on my part. Which I guess is what makes up being so easy and not combat involved. I should also explain the fist icon. That is manpower. When we get to the final boss, every point of manpower we have will reduce 1 point from his HP. And he has a lot of HP, so you really, really want to have manpower.
And manpower
And this is one of those games where you can win all the battles and still lose the war.
Pretty much, yeah.
So this game, but I mean, really, that's the way that this game works, is you're supposed to hopefully get through the game with the maximum potential to win.
You have to go through it again and again, because you get a campaign XP too that gives you permanent bonuses.
So this is one of those games.
Right, that's very
Yes.
popular in roguelikes lately, as I'm sure you've noticed.
At the start of the game, you don't even have all the mechs unlocked, which is one of the reasons why the DLC is kind of overpowered, is that it instantly unlocks a new pilot and, or new commander and new Ironcast that you otherwise wouldn't have access to, or you'd have to grind for.
Typical British, right? Tea leaves.
I think this game was made in Britain, so I guess it's okay.
Goddamn British. They let
Hey,
the
hey,
Anzacs die on the
You made
freaking...
Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. You don't get to talk.
Yeah, well, we made that as penance for, you know, our game industry's crimes.
Well, yeah, you did make Alien Carnage.
I wish we made more Alien Carnage. That's all I have to say about Alien Carnage, you know.
I do kind of wish it would let you shoot in your first turn. I don't know why it doesn't exactly.
Well, presumably the main thing is you would automatically hit them because they don't usually have their shields up or they're walking up.
Right, because they have to go second. There's actually a there's a slight buff there to make up for the fact that they have to build up their systems.
Right, so when you've got somebody who has a drive going like that, it's better to use multi-shot weapons. But if their shields are too high, you won't actually do any damage to them. So it's
Right, so you're just trying to, you know, balance your numbers. This is a very much a numbers plus luck game, which is very, very typical of puzzle game match games that are also a different genre. You know, it's not pure puzzle here. There's a metagame sort of thing.
And now he's pretty much powered up all the way, so it's going to be really hard to do damage to him at this rate.
I think you got an active ability that disables the shields, though. I don't know if you actually use it or not, but that's what it said.
Yeah, see, his shields are too high, so he's absorbing all my damage. Okay. So that takes out everybody's shields. That can be a bit dangerous.
You probably want to do that at the start of a turn rather than at the end of one.
Yeah, see how much damage he did to me when I don't have any shields up.
I was very surprised that you deactivated shields after your turn without you moving.
Yeah, I admit that was a tactical error. The chain tackles, by the way, let you move from one color tile to another in the same match, which is handy.
But that's the red ones, correct?
Right. And that last shot I was out of coolant, which means I take damage when I use a system. And
But
since
you
it's a
took him
salvage
out.
mission, we still have to get more crates before I can leave. So another guy showed up.
But the other guy will spend a turn probably activating
Right,
the
you
systems.
get one
and that
extra
sort of
match for if you kill a guy.
I'm surprised you're not constantly repairing your subsystems.
Usually I do when they get really low, like, oh, there go my drives. Now if I want to actually start moving again, I have to fix them first.
Right, and you have too many crates left to kind of fudge it, I think. So can you kind of do everything? Or what is the, like, as long as you have the coolant and whatnot, you can do whatever you want and you just have to match 3 as well? Is that how this works together?
What do you mean?
Well, you have, like, walk and fire and abilities.
Right, using your system does not count as a turn as long as you have the resources to use them. It's only matching that uses up one of your matches.
You know, this guy is a real asshole.
Yeah.
I think you were better off with the other guy.
Well, this guy has 2 single-shot, high-damage weapons.
I just barely made it. And I just leave that other guy just do whatever, I guess, while I'm on fire. So now I gotta spend all that scrap I got just to fix up my stuff.
But at least you got tea.
That's
Which is what I've been drinking. I generally drink tea while doing these things. If anyone is interested. Which you're not.
Like,
this is from a American company, I think, based in New York, called David's Tea.
huh. Never had them.
Yeah,
Like
and
Arizona.
this is nothing like American sugar iced tea. That's not even. I don't even know what that is. That's like
It's
poison.
tea with sugar in it. It's
No, it's not
good
tea
stuff.
with sugar in it. It's sugar mixed with tea. There's no.
You might have also noticed, by the way, that some of the missions were marked in red. Those were extra tough missions. I don't think I could handle them.
Well, sometimes the rewards aren't worth it either. I don't know like what the reward benefit of taking a hard mission is, especially if the scrap reward is low.
Okay, this was a survival mission, but there was a twist here that first we have to take up this super elite guy before we can actually start the actual mission.
So is that caused by your continued success in the previous missions?
I don't know if that's random or not. That wasn't the hard mission I picked either. This is just an ordinary mission.
Because that is one fancy robot there. I guess one of my questions here would be, that guy's very fancy. Can he be a playable one, or...?
That's a DLC mech.
Oh, of course it is. I'm afraid
Son
I
of a
do not have
bitch.
DLC. I might consider getting it when the Steam sale rolls around.
Now, there's one issue I do have with this game in terms of, mechs, since we're mentioning DLC. There is one mech that you could have only gotten for backing this on Kickstarter. This is a Kickstarter game, and it's probably the coolest one to me because it looks like a camera with legs, like an old-timey camera.
Sweet, it's like a viewfinder.
Yeah, except you cannot actually get it unless you back the game, so good luck with that.
I like, those things are like difficult because, on one hand, I'm like, that would definitely interest me in kickstarting a product, like you go, that's cool, I would like that in this game that you're proposing, so it's a good reward to try and get people to kickstart the game because it really makes that, makes that decision to kickstart a lot easier. But in like the case of this game, I didn't know this game was being kickstarted, so I might have kickstarted it, but the first I heard about it, it was on Steam and ready to go, so...
Yeah, I didn't even know this was on Kickstarter. I guess it
Now
makes
there was no
sense.
chance. So, where do we go with that?
Okay, now that that
Well,
guy's dead.
They're really kickstarting match 3 games is very popular. This game, Honey Pop, probably more.
Now that we killed that
good old
guy,
Looney Pop.
we have to survive
And
for 5 turns.
It's terrible sequel, Honey Pop, the adult video thing.
Honey
that's
Camp
not-
Studio, yeah.
Yeah, I heard people
apparently
weren't
just-
too fond of that one. What was wrong with it?
I believe it removed the game component, which, considering that was actually surprisingly the strongest part of Honey Pop.
So it's just like a simulation only, or?
It's a clicker
Yeah.
game, as I understand it.
It's a clicker game, an idle clicker game,
Oh,
but
okay.
that's not ideal. I think that awful Sakura clicker is probably better. That's not an endorsement.
That one's
for
free at
Sakura.
least.
Yeah, like it's a free stupid clicker game, so that might be better than we haven't played new Honey Pop, so maybe we're completely wrong, but I don't know, like this game's probably better than new Honey Pop. That's all we're saying.
So this guy is absorbing a ton of damage with his shield, so first thing I gotta do is take those out.
Now, since you only have to survive 4 turns, would it not be more economical to just try and escape? Like, by running and, you know, doing your best to avoid damage?
I guess
Yeah, I've noticed that Bob has not been very drive happy with these battles.
I don't drive unless I have a lot of spare energy, because, like I said, shields are more of a guaranteed thing. Like,
I mean,
even
that is the risk-reward. The drives are much more effective at potentially saving your ass.
Like,
but,
They completely negate damage, actually, because they they miss.
Right, but thing is, even if I max them out, that's only like a 27 chance per shot, not per attack, per shot of missing.
That's still pretty good.
If they're driving around in one of the mechs like this guy, who has an extremely strong, heavy single hit, you're much better off dodging that entirely, because then if you do dodge it, you have so much energy and stuff to play with once you're back
That's a
on the
good
board.
point.
But again, it's risk reward, which isn't, it's, you know, that's good design, that's smart to have, you know, choices. Since he has 2 turns left, I'm interested to see if Bob makes it through this one. Wasting his turn collecting scrap.
Actually, I've heard that's the key to winning this on, in most cases, is actually dragging the matches out. If you know you can survive them, so you can gather the extra scrap that spawns.
Well, no, this one is
like
a survival one. He's gonna finish in 2 turns.
Right. So you
So
probably would want to gather scrap in this mission.
As long as he doesn't die, before, you know. So,
Well, we got
if you
about
die,
6 minutes left, so who knows?
you're, if you die, you're down and out, correct?
Yes,
Right.
it is a roguelike. Or roguelite, rather.
Even though you're in a mech, you don't get any sort of, like, you know, like, escape
just-
systems or anything. You're dead. You're dead.
Right.
You're corpsed. Which I think is not true of FTL. I think you can board an opposing ship in FTL, and escape that way if your ship blows up.
I can't remember. It's been so long since I played FTL. I wasn't a big fan of that one because I discovered later that you're not supposed to blow through a solar system. You're supposed to dick around and try to complete
Yeah.
as many missions as you can before you move ahead, which is
That's
kind of
right.
weird or kind of poor design to me.
Well, yeah, because you're trying to outrun the Armada or whatever, and you're supposed to get as much power as you can, which really means you have to collect as many missions as possible. I thought it was a nice, like, I thought it was nicely thought out. Whether you wanted to blow through the system or not is a different matter.
Well, if you do, you can't. Okay, here's the thing. You pretty much have to grind because if you don't,
Yes.
later systems will just kill you, pretty much. Hey, you unlocked achievement. Nice. Big spender.
Because I had to spend so much of my money on not dying.
I think I have that achievement, too. I think I've earned that one as well from having a crap ton of damage done to me.
I feel eventually you will earn that one. It's not one that you kind of have to grind out. At some point, you'll take a lot of damage, because the game is clearly...
Right.
Now, can you fight the French early, or do you have to fight them in
No,
London?
you cannot. You have to wait for time to be up.
I thought you could actually attack it early.
Hey, it's this guy again.
If I recall, that is also a DLC mech.
Those bastards.
Making money.
So, like, the 3 coolest are all DLC, which is funny to me. Like, the default set is cool, but it's just not as cool as, like, these sort of elite mechs you see.
That's the thing. It's like, you know, it's like, let's save the best content, or the most desirable content for DLC. It's, you know, it's money making. It makes money. I get it. You know, I'm not, you know, I don't lack business sense. I know how that works. But, you know, as a consumer, as the person actually on the buying end, it does feel a little dickish.
Oh, and there go my
Dead.
shields.
This game's not cheap, I believe. Like, that's the other thing.
It's $15, I think, isn't it?
Which, you know, is, you know, like, it's about right for the content, but
If you're into this kind of game, I'd say that's fair.
it's like, it's fair, and then you gotta buy DLC on top of it if you want all the stuff. The DLC only adds mechs, right? Like, you don't get any sort
Mechs
of
and
extra
pilots, yes, or mechs and commanders.
So it is optional DLC. It's not mission stuff and, like, actual expanded content. It's just mechs to play the game with, presumably. Now I'm a little concerned for Bob in this fight. A little bit. Not overly, but a little bit.
Spoilers, I do believe he dies because we've got, like, what, 2 minutes left of this video?
We have tons of minutes left. We have, like, 3 minutes. Like, he could survive. It'll be no problem. Go, Bob! Fight that guy. We're taking all bets now on what finally puts a bullet in Bob's mech here. Does he run out of shields? Power? Who knows?
I run out of everything, it looks like.
You have no currency at all at the moment, and your weapons are almost blown up.
I think at this point I try to check and see if I can retreat from the battle, and I can't, so,
You coward!
You're stuck there.
You can always quit, but that just ends the game. It's like death.
Right.
This game doesn't offer, like, a suspended thing where you can save it and come back. You have to...
No, it does, but you have to have beaten the mission. You have to be in, like, the main menu, essentially.
Right.
Or, like, the
Okay.
equipment menu.
So, yeah, you can't quit in the middle of the fight.
Just look at
Oh,
how
you're not
little
doing any
I'm
damage to
doing
this
right
guy.
now.
Now, was this a medium or a hard?
This is a regular difficulty.
Definitely spikes a little bit towards the end.
We've got like 2 days left before the final boss, so...
Yes, so, because I think with FTL, you can, if you
no.
take Snarboo's strategy and just fly right to the end, you can actually get pretty close to fighting the final boss without much effort. But then he'll ruffle stomp you. It seems like in this game, you kind of have a hard time getting to the final boss to begin with.
I've gotten to the final boss once and I died pretty much because I
Same,
ran
got
out of
there
turns.
twice, and he's pretty rough.
You run out of turns before he actually will kill you.
So it's gonna turn limit on the final boss as well? Geez, that's a bit...
It does, yes.
Up, there he goes. Goodbye, Bob's character. Oh, what a shame.
Did you get enough global XP to reach the next level? Yes, you did. What did you earn for your troubles?
Clearly, he doesn't have enough EXP to get through the game.
I don't know how much XP you would need to have a decent chance of winning, unfortunately.
I would laugh so much if it was like 10. Like level 10. We're quitting the game. That's it. It's all over.